and we're going to know everything there is to know about Zoom and using it in the future, Zoom. So
Fun.
that will become a bigger part of our mastermind group as well. So
nice.
Yeah, so you're in the right place with Zoom. So
where is it on June 10th?
It's in San Jose. It's $700. I can't,
Wow. Okay.
so don't worry. We'll report back.
You'll be teaching.
Yeah. We'll be there and we'll be learning and bringing stuff back. So.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
All right. Here's Frankie boy. So let's get right to him. Okay.
All right.
Right. So what this is this is a screenshot of a piece of paper on a notepad. What you want to do is, I don't know if you can quite see it, put it on the screen. There you go. You just want to take a sheet of paper and divide it into 6 square segments like I've got right there. That's it, right? So if you want to be fancy and do it on your computer or something, knock yourself out. I like to use paper because the computer things are a little bit harder for me to use. Okay, so each one of these segments now is a component of your webinar. All right, so here we go. So now look, that's fancy, isn't it? Okay, so we basically have 6 steps to a webinar that works, right? And by the way, these webinars that I teach and the webinars that I do and perform are high content. So I'll tell you in advance right now that other webinar styles will outsell mine, this method, but oftentimes your audience will be left going, that was a little sleazy. I will sacrifice a little bit lower conversion for a better relationship with the audience because I know if I keep helping them, they'll buy something eventually. Okay, so we're going to focus a lot on being super cool in this one. So the first section here is called the confirmation. All right, in the confirmation, your job is to confirm that they've made the right decision to attend. Right, so whether you're reading a book or attending a webinar or a presentation, you're going to need to sell them on staying, right? Like, have you ever noticed a lot of books say, hey, welcome to this book, here's all the cool stuff you're going to learn in this book? They're selling you on continuing reading the book. When we do a webinar, we need to do the same thing, right? It's very, very simple, though. You also, during this phase of the webinar, you want to introduce yourself to reestablish familiarity, right? Or in this case, actually establish familiarity. You want them to know who's talking to them, right? Kind of basic. Now this part's really, really easy. If I've done everything correctly, and this will be a miracle, you'll actually see the slides here in a minute. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to sell them on staying by telling them what they're getting. So I'll show you some slides from some of my webinars to kind of walk you through how this works, okay? So in my webinar that sells webinars, by the way, this is in the confirmation part. This is me doing the introduction. All right, so there's a little picture of me, and it says, hey, I'll say my name's Frank Kern, I'm 44 years old, I'm married, I live in San Diego with my wife and 4 kids, 1 dog and 2 bunnies. Thankfully, we gave the bunnies away. So now I got to amend that with just 1 dog. His name's Charlie Murphy. I'm a marketing advisor to celebrities like Tony Robbins, software companies like Infusionsoft, investment firms like Memphis Invest, and over 150,000 small businesses worldwide. And I currently spend between $35,000 and $90,000 per month on advertising campaigns that incorporate webinars with a measurably profitable return on ad spend. And I built webinars that sell information, products, professional services, and recruiting for financial services firms, and even use webinars to sell actual houses. So that's 1 slide, bing, and that's just me introducing myself, right? Now, the way this is really different is a lot of times the webinar ends up being about the person who's given the webinar. And there's a place for that, but that's not what the webinar should really be about. I'm sure you're not watching this right now because you're intensely fascinated with my life story. You're not like, well, tell us about your childhood. That's fascinating. No, you're like, dude, I want you to help me do something, right? Your audience is the same way. So you always want to make everything about them. So notice that was 1 slide. Bing, that was it. Nothing. A slide, 4 bullet points. Okay, no big deal. All right, so here's another example. This is the one where I'm telling them, here's what you're going to learn. I'm reselling them on staying. Here's what you'll learn during this presentation. I'm going to show you the 1-page webinar framework for selling, producing, and launching webinars that sell. I'm going to show you the 12-part polite pitch formula that lets you make an offer without being obnoxious or feeling like a sleazy salesperson. I'll show you how to have a webinar presentation that's genuinely helpful to your audience, but still sells like crazy at the same time. 3 bullet points, 1 slide. Super simple, right? Super duper simple. Really no problemo, okay? So now our next phase here is something called the difference. And here's why you gotta have this. Now, by show of hands in the comment section, right? So How many of you guys have been on a webinar before? Obviously everybody, right? Have all of them been awesome? Or have you ever been on a webinar where you're like, this was the biggest waste of time? All I heard was this guy's rags to riches story, and then he pitched me. And I didn't get anything useful at all, okay? That's the greatest thing that could happen to your prospects, and that could be the greatest thing that could have been done to them by your competitors. Because what it does is it allows you to instantly stand above, right? And rise above and be positioned as better by simply not doing that. But because it is almost a quantifiable fact, I mean, surely there's someone who's never been on a webinar before, but it's almost a universally applicable fact that everyone has been on a webinar before, and they've been on a shitty webinar before and they were disappointed. We have to immediately let them know that this is going to be different, right? Right off the bat. Otherwise, they're like, well, it's the same thing. So we got to grab them, right? So here's what we do. First thing we do is we acknowledge skepticism and objections. Hang on, I need a little water. Now, why do we want to do that? Because every single person is going to be skeptical and they're going to have objections. It's normal, right? What do you think? People are going to show up on the webinar going, everything this person says is going to be true. It's going to be amazing. I have absolutely no objections. No, dude, they're not. Everybody has skepticism. We might as well address it right up front, right? We also want to magnetize the audience by polarizing them. Your webinar is going to be made up of two groups of people. People you want as customers and people you don't. You will be magnetic to the people that you want by being repulsive to the people that you don't want. So we want to do that as well to further bond with the good ones. And these two actions here, what they're going to do is they're going to help silence the audience's inner dialogue. This otherwise going to be asking yeah, but what about this, right? So notice how earlier I was like, hey, look, you notice that we just put all of these things on this escape and arrival framework. You might be thinking, yeah, but I don't know how to do all of those things. I acknowledge that skepticism to turn that voice off in your mind, right? When I'm framing the book funnel blueprint for you, even today, I was like, hey, listen, you're never going to write a page. Writing a book sucks, right? When I was framing that you're going to do this webinar, I was like, hey, don't worry about it. I know you might be worried that, hey, I got to make this perfect webinar. Nope, you're just going to make anything that you can to get it out of your head and record it so a transcriptionist can give it to an editor, so now you have something to work with, right? So you always have to be aware of what their concerns are going to be so you can address them head on. I don't mean overcome them and BS anybody. Just say, all right, here's what you're probably worried about. And hey, if there's a good reason to be worried about it, tell them. You'll immediately differentiate yourself. And they're going to trust you more because you're, God forbid, 100% honest with them, right? Novel concept. Okay, so let me give you some examples, right? In my webinar that sells webinars, I know that one of the biggest objections people have when I'm like, hey, I've sold webinars and here are the results I've had and it's been really awesome, et cetera. One of the things going through their mind, if they know me, they're like, well, of course it's worked for you, dude. You're Frank Kern. You have magic powers. You have a big list. Everybody already knows you. It can't work for me because nobody knows you, right? So what am I going to do? Ignore that? No. They're going to be thinking about it the whole time. Everything I say is going to be tainted with that belief of theirs. But if I come right out up front and I say, you know what? I got a confession to make. Of course I've got an unfair advantage. I've been doing this since 1999. A lot of people already know me in the industry. I got a huge list of people. Some of them even like me, right? So I come right out and acknowledge that skepticism, right? Here's another one. This is where I'm just basically polarizing, right? I say, look, here are the house rules. First of all, look, if you're a get-rich-quick person, if you're looking for that kind of thing, this isn't for you. If you want some magic system where you can do nothing and get paid, I don't know what that is. I don't have one of those. I can't help you. If you want to just pretend to be an expert at something but not actually help people, I can't help you. And by the way, I'm going to show you some really amazing results I have, but I'm not going to be like all these other guys and going, you can do this too in 5 minutes in your underwear. I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going to show you some numbers, and I'm just showing you because I'm really proud of them, and I just want to show you conceptually how well this has worked for me. But I'm certainly not making any promises to you. Now, here's what that does. You can come back to me, Sass, if you want. Here's what that does, right? To the person who is lazy and wants to get rich quick and is looking for yet another magic pill, right, that doesn't exist, they're going to be like, I don't like this. But guess what? I can't help that guy anyway. So I don't care about that person. But for the real person who I actually want as a customer, you know how everybody's jaded? Everyone's been abused, basically? I'm like the only person going, hey, man, look, I'm not going to tell you this doesn't take work, right? I'm not going to tell you you're going to get rich quick overnight. Yeah, I'm going to show you what I've done, but I don't know you. I'm not going to insult your freaking intelligence. Guess who does that? Nobody. So when you polarize like that, the people who want to get rich quick, who don't want to do any work, who want to sort of fake it, they're going to be turned off. Well, they're not my customers anyway. But the ones who are real, now they're more magnetized to me. Does that make sense? So we've accomplished all of that, by the way, with 2 slides. Okay, so it's not like we're having to invent this whole thing. We just need to do these steps in advance to set the framework of everything else so that when we deliver our message, it's going to be more likely to be received well. Does that make sense? Otherwise, they're going to have the shields up, and you're not going to be able to help them as much because their mind's going to be thinking, well, what about this? What about this objection? And they're going to focus more on the objections than the actual things that you can do to help them. Okay, so next phase of this, all right, is where we really start to bond with them. Now, a lot of webinars make everything about the bond, right? So let me define the bond. You got 2 things that it could be. Thing number 1, a bond can be a story, right? And during our training today, I'm going to give you a lot of training, not today actually, but during this course, I'm going to give you a lot of things about story and sales. I'm going to show you a framework for how to use story and sales and videos. It's amazing. Okay, and I might show a little bit during this presentation here. This is kind of a bigger picture, right? But our first thing is a story. And some people are really, really comfortable with stories. I got an amazing story, right? They're like, oh my gosh, dude, I can't wait to tell this story. You know, I was struggling. Everything was horrible. I found this one thing. I tried it. It didn't work right. I kept trying it, and I made some mistakes, and I figured something out. Next thing you know, blam, I want to share that story with everybody. Some people are like, no, dude, I mean, this is just kind of how you do it. I don't have that. So the other thing, if you don't have story, is evidence, okay? So you have 2 ways to bond with them. Story or evidence, okay? So the framework for a story is this. Number 1, I had a dream. You can show me, Sass, if you want to. Number 1, I had a dream, right? You know, I don't know, if you're anything like me, you've always wanted to be successful. That's the opening of a story. I had a dream. When I was a kid, I used to look at the people in the nice cars and the nice clothes. They could do anything they wanted. And they were always going on vacation. I'd open up magazines and these people, they're having the greatest time in the world. And man, I said to myself, one day that's going to be me. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do that because I know I can, right? That's that first portion. I had a dream. That's the first portion of that story. The next phase of this, I know I'm going kind of quickly with the story part, but we'll dive into it a little deeper when I give you the templates and frameworks here. The next phase of this is I had a struggle, right? So a story is rarely, man, I wanted to be successful like these people, and so what? You know what? I did. Yay! Right? It never happens, right? The success is almost always preceded by horrible, abysmal failure, right? So your struggle is going to be the story of struggle, how you went through trials and tribulations on your path to trying to achieve the results, right? So you say, and you know what? I don't know if you're anything like me, but I used to read those business opportunity magazines and all that stuff they had in the supermarket, and I'd see those ads, and it would show those big long ads, and it would show the person said, I made, $3,000 a day doing this with this weird system, and I would buy that thing. And then friends of mine turned me on to multi-level marketing, and I would join these companies. And then I learned about this other thing, and I would try to do this. And some of it works and some of it didn't, but it just never seemed to really click for me. And sooner rather than later, I realized I'd spent all my money buying these things, and I tried them, and I just couldn't get them to work. And next thing you know, I found myself in debt, and then I lost my job. And then not only do I not have any income, but now I don't have a job, and man, my whole family's looking at me, and they're thinking, you idiot. You've got people to support. You've got kids. You've got people who depend on you, and you've been out messing around buying all this get-rich-quick stuff. I told you it wouldn't work. And you didn't listen, and now look at you. Right, that's block right there. Hey, some of that might sound familiar. I've been through that personally. That's why I was able to tell that story so well. Right, a lot of us have. Right, but that little block there would be the story, the struggle block of the story. And so every time, right, now you emerge from that with the I had a discovery. And usually there's going to be a moment of decision in there. So typically the story is going to sound something like this. And by the way, this needs to be true. Don't just make stuff up. I'm just giving you a framework. So don't go make a webinar and quote me exactly on this. I'm literally just giving you sort of an example framework here. All right. I'll give you a more detailed framework when we get to that point of it. Now I don't want to leave you hanging. I want to tell you how to do it. Okay. So the next phase of this, right before I have a discovery, is typically going to be I made a decision. Right? So it could be, and I'm there, and I'm standing, and I'm alone. My wife and children had gone to bed, And I put on the best happy face I could for them during dinner, but once they were all asleep, I just sat down at the table and put my head in my hands. I didn't know what to do because my elbows were resting on a pile of bills, and that pile of bills said past due. And the one of them said, we're going to cut your power off. And I was there, and it dawned on me that because of what I'd been doing and my lack of commitment and my lack of focus, that my kids were going to try to watch cartoons in the morning in 2 days, and the TV wasn't going to work. That the house is going to end up being 100 degrees in there because there's going to be no air conditioning, right? And then I realized that they're not going to be able to go to school because I can't put gas in the car. And that's when I made a decision. And I made the decision that, you know what? I'm not going to live like this anymore, right? So you need to have that moment of decision, and that's typically what leads to a discovery. Again, this really needs to be true. So if you don't have this, guess what? There's evidence. I'll teach you the evidence method in a minute, okay? But this is usually the framework for the story. So now the part is I made a discovery. And that's when I decided, so I'm going back now into just sort of loosely off the top of my head scripting this, and it was in that moment of decision that I decided, you know what? I'm not going to pay attention to any of this get-rich-quick stuff anymore, ever again. I know that people have been incredibly successful building real businesses, and they did it through hard work, and they didn't try to cheat the system, and they've written books on it. And I went and I found those books, and I found books by men like David Ogilvy, and I found books and materials by men like Gary Halbert, and I read things by Claude Hopkins, who was the father of modern advertising. And as I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. And while everyone else is out there trying to sell this invisible air stuff, what would happen if I just took their principles and applied them to modern day marketing and tried to market my business that way? And that's when I made the discovery that if you take old methods and apply them to today, it actually works better today than it did when they were first invented. Now, actually, all of this is true in terms of my making that personal discovery. But again, I'm giving this as an example. So now you made a discovery, right? And then your part is here's life now. So now you say, and fast forward to today, I've got more customers than I can handle. We go on vacation wherever we want to. I haven't looked at a menu price in 10 years. I have no idea how much our car payments are because for all I know, we wrote checks for them. I don't even have to handle that kind of stuff. Like, whatever it is, here's life now. What doing this does is it opens the audience mind up to be receptive to the next part of this, which is you're actually delivering them the content. So when you say I made a discovery and I discovered this stuff, your content is you teaching them some of the stuff you discovered. Okay, now, what if you don't have a story, right? What if you're just boring? You're not going to be boring. You know I'm kidding, all right? But hey, what if you don't have a discoveries thing? What if there's no story or you're uncomfortable doing that or whatever? Well, the alternate side to that equation is to use evidence-based thing. So I did that when I sell consulting. Right? So I have a consulting class. Obviously, I do. It goes along with this book right here, right? So here's the book, right? So if they buy this book, they'll ultimately see a webinar that sells my client acquisition system. Okay? Well, in this webinar, there is no story because I don't really have a dramatic story for how I got into consulting. I mean, what am I going to say? Yeah, back in 1999, I started selling things on the internet. It was pretty hard at first, but then I got really good at it and I made a crap ton of money. And then I was like, man, I've really always admired marketing consultants. I kind of want to see what it's like to be one. And I wrote a letter and it worked. And then I kept doing it. Next thing you know, I got all these clients and life is amazing. Like, that's not a very compelling story, right? I don't have any drama. So I was like, well, I don't want to make anything up. Instead, I'm going to use evidence. So in this case, what you can do is you can gather a lot of evidence that demonstrate and prove that what you're saying is possible, actually is possible. So the point that I try to make in my webinar that sells my client acquisition system is that, hey, consulting is no joke. Consulting is a huge industry, and is projected to grow. When everything else is kind of going to hell in a handbasket, we're one of the only industries that are going. And so this stat I have here on the screen is actually from the U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, I think. And this is incredible, right? It's supposedly growing by 80% by next year. That's crazy, right? 83%. That's awesome, So you can also give evidence and say, here's all the facts of the research I've done. I'm going to give you an example of that, by the way, tomorrow when I present. I'm going to give you a real webinar tomorrow. So I'm sort of almost telling you how I'm about to do something in one of the trainings I can give you tomorrow, right? So now the next phase is going to be the payoff. Right? And this is really why they're here. Okay? So the payoff is critical. All right? Let's see here. I want to make sure I got my slides in order. Do you have your slides in order there, Karen? Let's see. Something. Do I have them in order, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, okay. This is the part they can edit out of the finished product. You know what I'm saying? All right. So Pew, pew, pew. Let's get over there. Guys, it took forever to make it where the stuff would appear like that on the screen. Okay, so now we have the payoff. So here's the thing about the payoff, right? Remember when I showed you the escape and arrival framework? And remember I was like, look, you don't have to make your book about the 7 million things they have to do to get from frowny face to happy face. You just have to make your book about like 2 or 3 of the things you're really, really good at. That's what I mean. So when you outline that, that's where this goes, right? And you want it to be immediately actionable information, okay? And you want it to be immediately actionable information for 2 reasons. You can come to me, Sass, if you want to, all right? Number 1, when you build this webinar, it's going to go into a book. Now, guess what? If you sell somebody a book, even if it's only $5, and they read it and they're like, theoretically, this sounds pretty good, but I don't really know what, then they're never going to want to buy anything from you again. Remember the focus of the book? What it needs to create? It needs to create a buyer with what? 2 things, remember? What were they? Confidence and capabilities. We're not going to be able to give them that unless we make it immediately actionable information, right? They got to be able to take it, whether it's from the webinar or the transcription that's turned into a book. They got to be able to leave that experience going, man, I can do that. That's great. You want to give them confidence and capability because that'll fuel the buying, right? They'll be more receptive to buying, and plus it's a cool thing to do. Well, you don't want to waste anyone's time. You want to help everybody. Hey, here's a novel concept. More people you help, the more money you're going to make, right? Kind of a golden rule there. Kind of an unescapable reality over time. So we might as well embrace that and help as many people as we can. Okay, so here's the payoff. 3 ways we can influence people, right? Only 3 ways possible, okay? Here's why you want to do a good job here. So number 1 is we can talk about how good we are, right? Now, if you go back and you look at most marketing that you personally are exposed to every day, like go through your inbox, right? It's going to be one of these 2. It's going to be, hey, I'm really awesome, right? Look at me. Look how big my house is. Look how many cars I got. Give me some money. Okay, that's one. You've seen it, right? And so you make fun of it and stuff. I mean, it's kind of funny. The other one is going to be to have others talk about how good you are. Go to your inbox right now. Read the latest affiliate promotion you got. It's going to be one of these 2, isn't it? Actually, don't do it right now. We're trying to get some work done. But when we're done, just go look. Go to people whose list you're on and be like, I'll be damned. It's either going to be the guy talking about how amazing he is, or they're trying to pitch someone else's stuff, and they're like, this dude's amazing, right? Guess what? Both of those work. I bet you thought I was going to be like, those are stupid and they never work. No, they work pretty freaking good, right? You know what works better? I'll tell you what works better. The most effective thing ever is to demonstrate how good we are. Look at that, in all caps even. Demonstrate how good you are. I'll tell you something. I mean, let's think about this. If I were to come up to you and say, don't tell anybody this, all right? Be cool about this. But dude, I can fly, right? If I said that to you in that tonality, right? We're in a bar or something. Like imagine we're at a seminar and you're like, dude, Kern, what's up? I'm like, hey man, I got to talk to you. Listen. I can fly. I'm not kidding you, dude. I can totally fly. I mean, like Superman. I can freaking fly. Fast, straight, loops and stuff. I can do it. You're going to be like, okay, right? Now, some people might believe you. Like you might be like me. I believe anything. You could tell me anything. I'll be like, that's the damnedest thing I've ever heard. Can you know this dude can fly, right? I'm just like that, right? So that's one way I could try to influence you into believing I can fly. Another thing is I could get all my buddies. And I could be standing there like this going, yeah. And then, I could get Eben to come up, and Eben could be, I'm going to try to talk like Eben. He enunciates everything. Frank Kern can fly. And the name of my course is Enunciate. Right? You ever notice that about Eben? Everything is enunciated perfectly. And then Walker could be like, yeah, dude, Frank can fly. And then John Reese would come up, well, you seen that dude fly? It's crazy. And then you might be more inclined to be like, shit, man. He seems a little heavy to be able to fly, but maybe it's possible, right? So maybe that's going to work, but what's definitely going to work? What would definitely work to get you to believe that I could fly? If I walk up to you, I'm like, dude, check this out. Come here, let's walk outside. You got to see this. I do it inside, but the ceiling's too big. Ready? Watch this. And I flew. And I'm like flying around. You'd be like, did that just happen? I'd be like, yeah, man, I can fly. Damnedest thing you ever saw. Can you believe that? Right? And you would think that I could fly because I did what? Demonstrate it. Demonstration trumps all. Guess what demonstration requires very little of? Salesmanship. It requires very little arm twisting, right? It requires very little being obnoxious, which makes all of us uncomfortable. It's just like the oldest trick in the book. I always make this joke. I say, here's how we're going to get them. We're going to use the oldest trick in the book. Are you ready? We're going to demonstrate we can help them by actually helping them. That'll teach them, right? Because it works better than anything else, right? And the reason it's better, actions speak louder than words, right? One of the oldest sayings in the world, actions speak louder than words, right? So your real money, ultimately, by the way, the reason you really want to do a good job of this is A, because it's cool and it's going to help you sell more and it's going to have goodwill and you're doing the right thing. But B, let me ask you a question, okay? Let's say this is a webinar right now and we're on the webinar and I'm going to sell something. I don't have anything to sell right now, by the way. But let's say that I did. And I'm doing a good job and we're in rapport, right? I think, like I looked at the comments a little bit like during our break and people were really nice. I'm like, oh, this is great. People like this, right? Do you think I could sell, and I can't remember how many people were on, like at the moment that I was looking, it was about, I don't know, a couple thousand or something awesome, right? And so do you think every single person, let's say it's 3,000 people watch, do you think all 3,000 of them would buy, right? Doesn't matter how good of a job I do. All 3,000 of them just ain't going to buy, right? It's normal for people not to buy. So what do? We follow up. If we don't do a good job in the payoff section, right, our follow-up is pointless. I almost lost that. Did you see that? I was trying to be cool. And it's like, oh, okay. So we're not going to do a good job in the follow-up if we don't actually help them, right? But if they come and they attend a webinar or they read the book, which is the webinar transcribed, and it's actually good, what are they going to be? They're going to be the greatest thing you could have, which is a buyer with confidence and capability, okay? So here's how to do the payoff, all right? First thing you got to understand, this person has given you their single most valuable and irreplaceable asset. It's not their money, it is their time. Like we're spending time together right now. That's why it's so important to me that you are happy, because you ain't going to get this afternoon back, right? It's not coming back to you. The last 3 seconds we were talking, you're not getting those 3 seconds back. So I want to make sure they were well spent. So because of that, they have to get a payoff for attending. Otherwise, they're never going to trust you again, okay? So to maintain trust and desire, you got to demonstrate you can help them by actually freaking helping them. Crazy concepts. So what I like to do is I just like to teach 3 big things that they need, and they got to be actionable, right? They have to be something they can immediately do, okay? So you can't teach anything really, really crazy. And the biggest thing I can tell you about this is you don't want to bog them down. So in the rare instance, this is embarrassing, but most of my members out-convert me on their webinars, which is like, I'm telling you, we do these live video conferences, like stuff like this, but I actually can bring you on camera for my Inner Circle members. We do them every other Wednesday with me, and I'm reviewing people's stuff. And it's all the time. They're on my web, or they're like bringing up their webinar stuff. And they're like, yeah, dude, I'm doing this webinar. I'm converting at 10%, but I don't know what, I mean, should I scrap it and do another one? I'm like, dude, I converted like 2. Why is everyone doing so much better than me, right? But in the rare time when they don't do better than me, and when they're really struggling, it's because they bog it down right here. So what does that mean? Okay, so what you want is a bog-free payoff. So let's say our webinar is about list building, and we're doing it. We're going to write a book about list building. We want to transcribe the webinar, have it turned into a book about list building. So one of the things we might want to teach them is you have to have a good opt-in page layout, right? That's really important. You're not going to build the dang list if your opt-in page is all screwed up, right? So the right way to do it would be to give them solid fundamentals. You know, you can come to me, Sass, if you want to give them like solid fundamentals. Be like, okay, so here, I know that's not actually on the screen, but here's an example of a really good opt-in page layout, you know, and we say, notice the headline formula says how to X without Y, right? And notice that the button is typically over here, and notice you got a big graphic over here. That's the right layout that you want to have, right? That's really simple. There's no bogging down there. They immediately understand that. They can immediately go and change their opt-in page to look like that and probably get better results. That's what you want. Demonstrate you can help them by actually helping them, right? You could show them examples. Like, here's one web page is working good. Here's another one. Here's another one. Notice they have all these things in common, right? That would work. Now, the wrong way, you can come back to me if you want to, the wrong way would be to be like, okay, so now that we know the proper layout of an opt-in page, what we want to do is we want to understand how HTML coding works, specifically HTML5, for the World Wide Web, in a multi-browser, cross-platform, I can't even say it, cross-platform scenario. So you have multiple types of HTML coding that you could possibly do, and we have these things called div tags and tables. And one of the coding examples that are often used by, and you're like, the person's just like, they're bored out of their mind. You've bogged them down, right? Give them big picture. Don't give them minutia. They ain't gonna make any money with minutia, right? We help people with the big picture stuff, okay? So that's the example right there. So your payoff has to be good, right? So all this stuff right here, transcribed and edited, turns into this, right? That's it. So if you do that, then guess what you are? You're gold, Jerry. You got yourself a book, right? It's perfect. You have yourself an actual book. So if we look, hang on a minute, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I got to tell you, it's a little weird just sitting here drinking camera with all these people, or drinking water on camera, everyone watching. Hang on. Wish there was a cooler way to do that. Is there a cool way to drink water? Like, yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about the payoff. So this book right here, all right, this is my consulting book. It's got 3 big things. Shows you how to generate leads, shows you how to have them asking for conversations, shows you how to close those conversations. 3 big things. Not 1 million, right? Not 700, 3 big things. It's 68 pages. That's it. 68 pages. This one, 3 big things. Magic formula is this: pre-framing, indoctrination, conversion. That's what this teaches you. Pre-framing, indoctrination, conversion. And this one is a little longer. This one is 7 million pages. Did I not put page numbers on there? No, this guy is 75 pages. We went crazy. 68 and 75. You don't have to write a novel, okay? People love these. You know why? Because you can read it in an afternoon. What do you want to, would you rather have the book that's going to take you a week, or the one that you can sit down, understand the concepts, and read in an afternoon? So if your mind is telling you, oh, dude, I got to make this big, hardback, beautiful book that I got to mail to people, it's got to be 300 pages, it's got to be, look like the stuff I get at Barnes & Noble. Nope. Ain't gotta. You can just do exactly what I showed you. Get that thing recorded, send it to rev.com, they'll transcribe it. Don't look at the transcriptions at all, okay? Last thing you want to do is look at the transcriptions, and then send it to an editor that you meet on Fiverr, right? Just pick one, right? What editor's best? I don't know, the one with the highest ratings. It's not rocket science, they're just editing your stuff. Then take the edited version, mess with it if that needs messing with. Now you got a book. No need to print it, no need to ship it, you can sell it digitally, okay? So, since we're here, okay, since we're already here, and we've already kind of built a webinar, right? We might as well kind of finish it and talk about how you could actually sell something on the webinar. Doesn't that make sense? So let's do it, since you're here, okay? So all this stuff, boom, 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 these 5 steps or these 4 steps, that's the part that gets transcribed, right? So you could stop there and you got yourself a book, but if you really want to do it properly, you might as well build these things. You might as well go ahead and build in a pitch, right? No one's got to see the pitch, but if you build the pitch and the pitch is good, you can now dictate what your main thing can be, what's included in the main thing. And don't worry, we're going to spend a lot of time tomorrow and on Sunday. I'll show you the 5 different product types. On Sunday, I'll show you the 4 big ticket models, how they work and everything. We're going to go over sales copy and stuff. But right now, let's just pretend that you've already agreed that you're going to make a big thing, right? And whatever it is. So if you're already going to make it, might as well try to build a pitch for it just to see what happens. You don't have to show the pitch to anybody, but what do you think that pitch is going to do? Building that pitch is going to do 2 things. If it's good, you're going to be like, damn, I really want to go ahead and get that made because that was awesome. I just nailed that. Let's get this sucker to the market. I can sell the crap out of it, right? And you're going to know what needs to be in the main thing because you just talked about the coolest stuff it's going to help people do. So it's almost like forced product creation in a way. All right, so first thing you want to do is we were in teaching phase. Here, come to me. We were in teaching phase all the way through here. Now we got to get here into selling phase, okay? So now the first thing we got to do is we got to transition from sales, from teaching rather, to sales without being weird, right? Without getting all nervous and being like, okay, so you don't want to buy this, do you? Okay, so it's really, really simple. The way to do this is very, very easy. So you want to, in the transition phase, which is step 5, you want to switch from teaching to selling, and you want to do it without being or feeling awkward. Okay? So what I like to do here is exactly what to say. let's say you just taught your 3 big things, right? And it was awesome, and you helped people. And you're like, man, that was killer. I really help people with this. This is great. Now you can say, so if you found this helpful, you'll really like my new program called How to Do More of This Stuff, right? Really simple. That's one way to do it. And the most effective way I could teach you. Just transition right into it. You don't have to be weird about it and beat around, well, I don't like selling stuff. And if you really want to, maybe you could just say, hey, I really hope you enjoyed that. These are 3 big things that really made a major difference in my life. And you know what? If you found that helpful, I really think you're going to like my brand new secret or my brand new program called Buy More Stuff Secrets, right? And that's it. And now what we do in the next is we go into the offer. And this is a big one, all right? So get on the screen there for a minute because I need to look at this stuff while I read it off to you so I can make sure I got it all in the right order. But the offer, a good pitch, follows a very solid structure. I'm going to do one for you tomorrow, and then I'm going to sort of dissect it for you as well. So the first thing we want to do is something called the triple fact confirmation. And this kind of comes, you can come back to me if you want to, this kind of comes from NLP. So they say, I don't actually know NLP. All right, so the triple fact confirmation sounds like this. First, we do the transition, right? So anyway, that's how I got the really big result, and it was really, really cool. And hey, if you found that to be helpful, I think you're really going to love my new products called Buy More Stuff Secrets. All right, so we transition. Now we're going to do step 1, the triple fact confirmation. It sounds like this. You go, and you know what? You registered for this webinar, and you're here right now, and you know that if you really apply this stuff, you can see incredible results in your life. Right? Now, the first 2 things I said were fact, right? And apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, it just sounds good, right? Like I said, I don't know NLP, but it sounds pretty good. And the saying goes, if you say 2 things that are readily accepted by the mind as a fact, the third thing is more readily accepted by the mind as a fact. So the third statement, apparently this is the third statement, the third statement that I made, well, let's go through them. You registered, fact. You're here right now, fact. And you know that if you apply this stuff, you can have really significant changes in your life. Opinion, right? But I just use the triple fact method. So that's step number 1, right? We're setting it up. Step number 2 is you say the reason why intro, right? And that's why you're going to want. So if I just said, and you know that if you apply this stuff, you can really see dramatic changes in your life. Now I'm segmenting it as step number 2. And that's why you're going to want, so literally, it was a sentence, right? And that's why you're going to want my new product, right? So, and that's why you're going to want the Buy More Stuff system. So now we start going into big benefits. So if you want to, let's say I'm selling the consulting product, right? Say, if you want to learn how to attract customers into your consulting practice, right? And I'm going to list all the benefits now. If you want to learn how to attract customers into your consulting practice, if you want to learn how to generate leads, if you want to learn how to only talk to people who know who you are, know how much you charge, and have jumped through hoops to talk to you, if you want to know how to have a selling process that's not high pressure, that's really friendly, that helps everybody no matter what, and if you want to know how to tie all of this together into an elegant system that can give you dependable and consistent results, then this is just for you. So what I just did right there was step 3. Does that show up for y'all? Yeah. So step 3 was if you want, and I listed the main benefits of the thing I'm selling, right? Leads, jumping through hoops to talk to you, know what you sell, easy conversion process. If you want X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, then this is just for you. So I'll go through it again. Hey, you know what? You registered for this webinar, you're here right now, and you know that if you implement this stuff, you can see really significant changes in your life. And that's why you're going to want my Super System 2000. Look, if you want to learn how to benefit 1, benefit 2, benefit 3, benefit 4, benefit 5, however many, then this is specifically just for you. So now we're all the way up to step number 4. We're just building into the offer here. Okay, we're building into the offer. Now, the next step is going to be the walkthrough, right? So in this step, let's see if I have examples. Nope, I don't. So, hang on, sorry, y'all. Bing. This step is going to be the walkthrough. So you say, now here, come back to me. Oh yeah, thank you. So this is just for you. So what you're getting is, and now you actually walk them through the product. So let's say it was my client acquisition system, right? Which is actually awesome. Some of you guys might have it. If you do, let me know you like it. I always like to know I help people, right? So you would say, yeah, so this is just for you. So here's what you're going to get in the client acquisition system. In week number 1, we're going to identify the perfect model for you. We're going to actually figure out the best schedule, and we're going to figure out how to manage everybody. And the Second week, we're going to find out who the people are that are most likely to pay you what it is that you want, and we're going to learn how to cut out tire kickers and people you have to chase from your life forever. In week number 3, we're actually going to find the most attractive bribe we can give to them in order to get them to raise their hand and say to you, hey, listen, I need help. In week number 4, you're going to learn the exact scripting and the exact system to have these people asking you to talk to them, knowing full well who you are and what you charge and how you do it. And finally, we're going to show you exactly what to say to those people once you are on the phone with them that'll turn them into paying clients without you feeling like a sketchy salesperson, right? So notice I just did the walkthrough there, okay? Telling them really here are the benefits. I did it kind of quickly, right? Because I'm not trying to pitch you this thing right now, but that's really how you go about doing it, okay? So that's step number 5, all right? We're doing pretty good on time too. How do you like them apples? All right, so that's step number 5. The next thing we want to do is we want to value build and give the retail price. Now let's see how I do this, what examples I have here. Yeah, cool. All right, so in this case, where's my play button? There it is. All right, bing, bing, bing. So let me show you how I do it, okay? So I think we should probably stick it, I don't think they can really see that well, so let's do, yeah, on the screen there. So notice these are actual slides. So I would say now I'm value building this little thing over here. Oh, look, you can see my mouse. Awesome. So this little thing over here, I'm saying, hey, look, a typical modulated classes like this, the last one I sold was Magic Model, it was $10,000. I recently did a 3-day workshop with a couple people, and that was $8,000 per head. I've had a group coaching program that's $3,860 per month. If we were to take that throughout the time of this program, that'd be $15,440. The total value of this thing based just on what other people have paid for similar things in the past X amount of time is $33,440, right? So I'm building the value there. And now what we want to do is we want to do something called a value drop. Now here's the deal. Don't make this up, okay? Don't be lying. Don't be saying, yeah, this sells for XYZ and you've never sold it before. Just say, hey, other people sell stuff like this for this amount of money, right? And if no one ever sells anything like that and you don't have an actual value build, you could say, listen, frankly, I've never sold this thing before, and I'm not sure I ever will again. This could potentially be a very limited offer, but you know what? What would it be worth to you if you got 10 new clients in your practice just by focusing on the people who are most likely to pay you? Well, if your average client is worth $2 and you got 10 of them, that would be $20,000 in value right there. You could also do it that way. Point being, please don't make stuff up. So our next phase here is we want to give a retail price, because this is going to allow us to do a further price drop. So I can say something like, but I'm not going to charge you $33,440 today. Instead, if you enroll today during our time together, you can have it for 3 payments of $3,800. Or, now notice if you do the math here, 3 payments of $3,800 is $10,000, so $11,400, is that right? No math involved in this. I'm trying to do math publicly in my head. As you know, math is not an exact science. So I say, or you can save $3,000 and make 1 payment of $8,400. That's a decoy price. And I say, but I want to do one better for you. Instead, what I'd like to allow you to do is save $3,000 off of that initial price and make just 3 payments of $2,800, or save $5,000 off that initial price in total and make just 1 payment of $6,400, right? So we're dropping the price. So you build the value here. You get them like, oh man, that's a lot, but it's cheaper than $33,000 over here. And then you say, but you know what? You can have it for an even better deal here. So that is a value build example and price drop from an actual pitch that I've done in the past. Hang on, I gotta get some water here. I think I should talk more in real life so I could do these things without losing my voice. Okay, so that was that. So we did the price drop. So our next step is gonna be risk reversal, right? So it's really hard to sell something without a guarantee. So you really, really, really wanna have a guarantee in that. And guarantee is pretty simple, right? So one of the ones I like to do is like, hey, listen, I don't know. I'm not psychic. I don't know if you're going to take this class and your life is going to change. I think it will. I think if you implement all of these things, you're going to be thrilled. But listen, rather than trying to convince you of that and pretend that I'm a mind reader, which I'm not, how about I do one really better for you? Why don't you go through this entire class, kick all the tires, download everything, put it to work, go out and get some clients. See what happens. And if you haven't earned what you wanted to earn, or if it wasn't fun, or if you didn't like it, or for no reason whatsoever, at the end of the class, just let me know. I'll give you a full refund, and guess what? You don't even have to send anything back. How's that for fair? So that's risk reversal, right? That's a really solid risk reversal offer, and guess what? If you're selling something digitally downloadable, it's not like they have to send anything back anyway. So you might as well make a big deal out of it and let them know. It's not like you got to send anything back. What am I going to lobotomize you? You know what I mean? Although that would be kind of funny if you were like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to remove this knowledge from your mind now. Pretty good. So what kind of marketers would we be if we didn't have a bonus? We'd be terrible marketers. That's marketing 101. So after you do the risk reversal, now you want to offer a bonus. You want to say, but you know what? If that is not enough, if this discount and me being willing just to let you have it for nothing if it doesn't work for you, or if you're not happy for any reason or no reason whatsoever, if that's not enough to push you over the edge right now, I want to do one more thing for you that'll be really special. I decided to give you this bonus, and your bonus should always be very, very valuable. Ideally, the bonus is going to be as valuable or more than the thing that you're selling in the first place. Now, you don't have to have one, right? You can do it without a bonus. I've done it without a bonus, but which is going to work better? Bonus, no bonus, right? Now, no bonus is better than nothing at all, okay? So I can guarantee you're going to make more doing something than if you do nothing, but if you can, add a bonus, right? Step number 10 is simply to recap, right? So you just position your bonus. And so now you're like, okay, so to recap, here's everything you're getting today. Number one, you're getting the Super Duper System 2000. Here's what we're going to do. Week number one, we're going to do this. Week number two, we're going to do this. Week number three, we're going to do this. This is going to be absolutely amazing, right? And by the way, similar things are sold for $34,000. I'm not going to charge you $34,000. If you order it today, you're going to get this ridiculous discount of 87% off or whatever. You can have it right now for $6,400. Okay, so you do that. And then you say, and by the way, like I told you, if you don't think it's the greatest thing ever, let me know. I'll send you back all your money. You can keep it anyway. Look, I don't want, just keep it. Who knows? Maybe you'll revisit it. Maybe you'll get better results down the road. If you're happy, I'm happy. I just want you to be successful. Okay? And then, by the way, if you take advantage of this during the special presentation, you're also going to get this bonus. Okay? Now, I've already said that stuff before, but you got to recap, right? You have to recap. So even the stuff that we pay for, we don't retain, right? So you got to tell them over and over again what they're getting. All right, so now we're going to recap. And by the way, when you order during the special promotion, you can also have this bonus. This bonus sells for X billion dollars. Here's what you're going to get in the bonus. Should you try to really hard to build the value of the thing in the bonus? Yes or no? I mean, it's a bonus. It's free, right? I mean, if it's free, why do you have to tell them how great it is? Because, dude, you always have to try, right? You got to sell everything. Okay, everything, you got to build the value in every single thing. So yes, build the value in the bonus. So by the way, this bonus is worth, whatever it's worth, and here's what it's going to do for you, and really tell them how that bonus is going to help them. You want to make them want to buy that freaking bonus, right? So now you've recapped everything, okay? And finally, here's an example of it, but I just walked you through an example, so I don't need to be redundant. Okay, so the next thing we want to have in this equation is scarcity. All right? If you can do it legitimately, don't make up the damn scarcity, right? Don't say it's never going to be available again. And they're like, oh, it's available tomorrow, right? Now, you can say it's never going to be available again if you use automation and you set cookies and you make it where that particular viewer can't get access to it again. Then I think you're okay. But don't do the thing where the timer resets every day and it's, come on. Don't give us a black eye. Nobody likes marketers anyway, all right? So we don't want to contribute to that. We want to show the world a better side of our community, okay? But you do want to use scarcity. So typically, if you're doing it during a limited promotion, say, listen, obviously this is an incredible example. There's no way I'm going to make this available forever. This is available only to you right now because you're in this promotion. And when the promotion's over, this is gone. Okay? This is it. So I'm not going to do this for every single person. That's one reason. That's simply a promotion-based. Another one is it could be user-based, right? So I'll do this a lot of times if I'm taking something where I'm actually working with people live. I'll say, look, this class is limited to 200 people. And I'd love to take more, but I'm talking to you guys every Thursday at 10. I'm answering your questions. If I take more than 200 people in there, I'm not going to be able to do a good job. There's going to be a billion questions. You're going to be frustrated. So it's limited. So you can either get in now or you could potentially miss it. That's another way to do it. Another way to do it is time bonus. So I can say, hey, listen, the class, you're selling a class or whatever. Hey, the class starts on Monday the 97th. All right, that's a real date. And registration is closing because we're starting, right? That's another way to do it. But your scarcity should be legit. In fact, as MC Hammer once wisely said, it should be too legit to quit. It should be, I like saying that with a straight face, it should be an unquittable level of legitimacy. And finally, now your next step is to give them a very clear call to action, which is, here's what I want you to do next. Now, during everything that we've said, all the way from step number 1 until now, you should have like your add to cart button. it should be showing, right? So they need to be able to see that thing. So they already have the order button up in your webinar or whatever, or if you're doing it on GoToWebinar Live or something, you got your, hey, go to buymystuff.com and you got the little picture or your web address is written there in the slides. But still, tell them what to do anyway. That's step number 12. So here's what I want you to do right now. You should see a button that says buy this thing right now. Click on that button. The first thing it's going to do is going to ask you for your email address and your contact info. That's so we can send you your username and password. Okay, once you click that, you're going to be taken to the payment page. Okay, I want you to enter your payment details. Immediately after seeing that, here's the 3 things that's going to happen. You're going to get an email from us. You're going to get access to the members area. Gold bullion is going to fall from the sky. I probably wouldn't say that. That's obviously a joke, right? But literally walk them through exactly what you want them to do right now, because we need to be told exactly what to do. And if you do all of these things, I know I went through it really, really quickly, but hey, might as well give you the best I can, right? So if you do all of these things, you've just made a really, really rock solid pitch. But if you do, hang on. If you do this, right, without this, you're screwed, right? Giving people immediately actionable information and helping them in advance facilitates this. You can screw this up. And if you do a good enough job here by actually demonstrating you can help them, by actually helping them, God forbid, novel concept, right? Then this is going to be relatively simple for you to do because they already like you, right? The results speak for themselves. Like the metaphor I like to use is what this book is meant to be. Now, by the way, everything we just did, right? You transcribe this thing, you get it edited, and if you leave that offer part in there, now you got a book that makes a sale. Now, I actually don't have that in my books because I built the content part before really building the offer part in a lot of cases. So a lot of these things were built prior to the offer being finalized, right? So I don't have sales letters in my book, but by all means, if you go ahead and record it and your pitch is good, put the dang pitch in the back of the book. Do you know how many people have bought these and come up to me at events and been like, okay, dude, something's wrong with my book. Okay, so I get here and I'm on page 75, all right, and they say, dude, I'm on page 75, and it says, I've given you the roadmap and blueprints to do this. Now the ball's in your court. Get out there and get to work. Do good things. Help people follow those steps, and you can't lose. And then there's nothing else, and there's no sales letter. So you might want to call your printer. And I'm like, oh no, dude, I didn't have the thing I just did it wrong, right? So, I mean, put the freaking offer in the book if you can, right? Now, don't let lack of the offer get in your way of creating the book by any means, because, hey, look, neither of these have the offer in them. Doing real good, no problems, right? But you're going to want to go ahead and do that. So if you follow this framework, you can build a hideous webinar, doesn't matter. You, dark room, nobody's watching. You just record yourself going through these steps right here. You transcribe that, have it edited. You got yourself a book, right? Think about this pitch while the book's being edited. Then go ahead and build a webinar that sells your main thing or some kind of funnel that sells your main thing, and you'll be gold, right? And look at that. The timing is unbelievably perfect. This concludes this section of today's training, and I think if you're still in here, Tyler. We have any questions? I'll take a couple questions or something if people are still on, because y'all can't hear him, but he's going to read them to me, and then I'll repeat them. We're that high class over here. Yeah. Dude, it doesn't matter. Well, you don't want to have like 10 minutes. I've had them 3 hours. Actually, the pitch.
Lucy, I think this is a good place to stop.
Yes, it is.
For today.
I agree.
So we've got about 35 minutes to go. So I can pick this up next week. How did you like it?
Good. I thought, I've seen his stuff before, and I liked it was a really great webinar / even presentation format, I think. I love it. The one thing about Frank is that most of the time, by the time, like, he has a very long ending. And so I would be interested to hear the ending part being the pitch and or the offer and the bonuses and things like that. Whenever I'm on one of his webinars, I tend to turn it off halfway through that. So I would be interested to talk a little bit about, you know, what other people do, best practices, you know, besides that.
Okay. Well, then why don't we do this? I'll log that we stopped it at 35:42 to go. And so, excuse me, we can pick it up then next week. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, very good. I'm going to stand by. I'm going to stop the recording.